I tweeted Richard Dawkins, the famous atheist.
Yeah, I know he is.
And, of course, he just thinks I'm a moron, because he went to Cambridge and I dropped out of high school. But I asked him, I said, why does life insist? And they didn't understand. What's that mean? I'm like, well, it means, I thought he was like smart. So I said, why does life,
I know what you mean,
need to create other life?
Right.
Why do you have to procreate? Why do you have to live?
And fight to stay alive.
Fight to stay alive and make sure that your genes stay alive. Why do you have to do that? Why, if nothing matters, wouldn't the obvious thing to do be go extinct? You know what I mean? To me, that would be the clear and obviously self-evident thing to do. And, in fairness to Richard Dawkins, he said, oh, well, that's a philosophical question that I'll ask my friends and I'll try to get back to you. So it was very nice. But I think it lies at the heart of theology, and people of faith, especially in this town, they'll say, you believe in an invisible man in the sky, and they already throw on you their ideas of what you believe in, although they don't know what you believe, they don't know what you think of as God, But the one question that always bothered me and always bothers everybody is, how can children die if there's a benevolent God, right? And how can 6 million go through the chimney at Birkenau,
Mm-hmm.
And this is a question that I think I have an answer for, because I think a lot about this kind of stuff. Because I'd really like there to be a God. I don't know at all, but I really would like there to be a God.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sarah Silverman told me, she's like, so you really believe in it? I go, I'm trying, She's like, you believe in an invisible man in the sky? She says it that way. So I'm like, well, whatever, if you want to say it that way. So she's like, well, good luck with that. And I'm like, well, it's a good luck for you, too. It's not like your idea of like being thrown on the ground, having dirt tossed on you is such a beautiful, great idea.
That doesn't bother me.
Dirt thrown on you forever?
I mean, yeah, because I just sort of feel like it's probably just a blissful state of non-existence that I had before. Boy, I'm going to be really, it's going to be a huge bummer if that's not the case.
But if you have a blissful state of non-existence, then you're talking about an afterlife.
Well, okay, blissful is probably the wrong word. I just meant I'm not aware of anything, I think it'd be great if there was something, but if there's not, I think the worst thing would be your consciousness lives on, but there's nothing. So you just feel,
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Well, that would be hell.
I suppose.
I mean, Nabokov, I think, was the guy who said, like, he saw a picture of himself. I'm sorry, he saw a picture of his parents. And his parents had his older brother in his arm, and his mother had his older brother in her arms, and his mother and father and his older brother. But he had not been born yet. And he said he felt no grief or terror at that picture.
Sure.
Where he didn't exist.
Right.
So I thought that was very interesting. Like, it's what you're saying.
Right.
That why be afraid of not existing? Because it's not really you that dies. It's the world that dies.
Sure.
And everything there is. Everything there is and everything.
I mean, I think it would be fantastic if there was some sort of a transformation of, this is a conservation of emotional energy that, once your emotional energy forms, it can't ever be destroyed, and it just disperses into the universe somehow, and you're a part of this thing that is you can't comprehend now, but once you're there, you'll totally get it.
It's very hard to believe.
But it'd be great if that were
of course it would be great.
I don't fault anyone.
But here's my answer for the chimneys. Here's what I believe. If there is a God, and if he is good, and if he created the universe and the earth, then an all good being, what can he create? He can't create good, because that would just be expansion.
Mm-hmm.
So all he can create is bad. So he creates bad, and then in a cool twist, the bad that he creates is allowed itself in a godlike way to create good from the bad. Because originally God created good from the bad, then bad from the good, and then he gives man the exact opportunity. So just from a standpoint of logic, which, is what atheists always try to say, I believe that there is an answer for the question of why God allows horrors, and that's what I come up with. But
I also,
I have a rabbi who I talk to a lot. I'm not Jewish.
No, MacDonald. No,
I was for a year, but he's the guy that knows. He's a scholar. Like my pastor doesn't know anything. Like he's just a pleasant guy. And he has.
I don't know. You should probably look that up. What is there?
I know. If you ask him a direct question, you go, "Huh? What? Didn't you hear my sermon?" And the sermon's always like, how to be a nice fella, or something. It's always nonsense. But this pastor, I phoned this pastor because I try to read the scriptures and study them. Last week I asked this priest, this rabbi. I was saying, like in the Old Testament, they have the Lord's Prayer. And in the Lord's Prayer, he says, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And I said, how could God lead us into temptation? It's without his boundaries, it's without his fence. God can't do that, if I'm correct about the God of the Old Testament. He cannot. It's not in his nature. The devil can, but not God. So the devil's hard to believe in. Of all the religions, it's hard to say one's worse than the other, But I can say with all belief that there's one religion that's just not true. And that's the Church of Satan. I think it even purports to be not true. Like, it's like, there's a guy that's bigger than me.
Well, I think some of them, I think some of the people who are, and I don't know, I can't speak for everyone, but just some of the stuff that I've seen online, I think some people adopt it as kind of a counter, like, okay, well, you guys have that guy over there with the beard, and then we have this guy.
Yeah.
And we should all be accepting it's not just that one, or just like, I think
right.
Sometimes I think it's
But do you really want to have a personal relationship with the devil? A guy, it's the only religion where there's a bigger, stronger guy outside, of that the Satanists say exists.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But they say we're going to go with the
guy
underdog.
who was, because that guy, that guy wasn't popular. He got cast out. So we're going to be with this guy over here because
maybe that's it. Maybe he's an outlaw.
Yeah, he's kind of an outlaw. Exactly.
He's definitely the original outlaw. Look, I don't want to say too many good things about the devil. But I guess he was. Now that you say it, he was the original
I hadn't really thought about it before, but I guess now, he was the original guy who got kicked out of the party. Who doesn't relate to that?
Exactly.
It's like big popular guys having a party, there's naked people running around, there's snakes and apples, there's a beautiful garden. It's like, they get kicked out, come on. Everyone knows what that feels like.
It's funny, like, people think that whatever religion you are, Christian or whatever, that you're so self-righteous, but actually, they feel they're sinners. When I was a Christian, I would sin all the time, and I ate apples. That's on page 1 of the book. The worst possible thing you could do. And but anyways, I'm right now I'm of no faith.
But you're looking for answers.
Yeah, I'll find something. I'm probably closer to Judaism right now than anything else. But I like the laughter is so important to me. You know, I'm talking about me laughing,
sure,
not hearing other people laugh,
right?
But me laughing because I'm so emotional and so sensitive that I can be broken, you know, and I know I can, you know, and so laughter is what keeps me